Hi, laying in here with my animals. Today we are taking a look at my new Betta. Beta. I know, I say it wrong sometimes. It's hard. Um, his name is Fireball, and he cost $3.99 at PetSmart. I know, I'm buying from a chain pet store, but I just saw him and I fell in love. Look at him. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. And honestly, I very often feel like the cheap, less fancy Betta live longer. If I had seen a female Betta there that was pretty, I would have actually grabbed a female Betta instead, maybe. Probably not, because I just kind of fell in love with this guy. But, you know, just the more breeding and culling and particular genetics that you're trying to get out of a Betta, a lot of times those really, really beautiful, like crescent moon ones and stuff, they just don't live very long. And I just like my pets to live as long as possible. This tank used to belong to my old Betta Castiel, and I had his angels in there with him, which were my white Corridoras. They are in the retirement tank now. One thing I wanted to talk about in terms of education, and not just being like, look, my fishy's cute, my fishy's so cute. But something I have learned over the course of keeping Betta is that you can kill them doing certain things that you do to save other fish. In particular, not Castiel, but my other Betta who lived in the 5.5 gallon tank. He was so beautiful, and I feel terrible because I accidentally killed him, and it was 100% my fault because I did not realize that Bettas truly cannot digest plant protein. And so what happened was one of the mystery snails died in that tank, and because it was very small, it threw off the cycle, and my Betta in there got sick. And with goldfish and a lot of different tropical fish, one of the first things that you can do to save them, especially if they're showing issues with bloating, or dropsy, if it's true dropsy, if it's organ failure, then that's that, you know. But I thought he was, like a goldfish, and if they start to get a little bloaty, feeding peas and Epsom salt really helps. And I literally killed him that way because he was already sick, and then I fed him something that he literally cannot digest. And yeah, that was awful, and I feel terrible that I did that, especially because it really feels like a beginner's mistake. It feels like something I really should have known. But to be honest, since then I've gone and I've looked in many different groups I'm on and Facebook and stuff, and I still sometimes see people suggesting that people feed their Betta peas to solve a dropsy issue or an issue with buoyancy or bloating, and please do not. Please do not. That is how I killed my first Betta, and I regret it. Always be learning and love your pets, even the finny ones, 'cause they will love you back.